If you think markets move on news, this video is already uncomfortable for you, because every major rally of the last decade happened after bad news, not good news. Rate hikes, recessions, bank failures. Markets didn't fall, they rallied. That means either markets are irrational or you've been taught the wrong model. Only one of those things in this world can be true, my friends. Let's make this binary. If news moves markets, then bad news should crash prices. Good news should lift them. But the opposite keeps on happening. So either markets are broken or news was never actually the catalyst. News was never the driver. Now, I hate to tell you, boys and girls, markets are not broken. Your assumptions are. So let's name the enemy. Simply, bluntly, here's the lie that traps most newbie novice traders, most people. That price is a response to information. Because it isn't. Price exists to solve pressure, not to reward insights. Markets don't ask, what do the people think? What do the masses think? What do the people in this trading environment and this arena think? No, they ask, who is forced to act? And that answer has nothing, absolutely nothing, not a scintilla nor an iota to do with news-driven headlines. So here's the mechanism. Here's the payoff front-loaded up front. There is only one force that consistently moves markets. Liquidity. Not sentiment, liquidity. Not earnings, liquidity. Not narratives, liquidity. Liquidity, liquidity, liquidity. If liquidity is expanding, markets rise, even into a disaster. If liquidity contracts, markets fall, even into prosperity. That's not the opinion of me, that is the structure of the market. There's discomfort to this, but this discomfort is going to take you to a cliff, and hopefully you have a parachute alongside. Because here's the part that most people actually hate. Bad news often actually creates liquidity, which means crashes don't come from bad headlines, they come when liquidity stops responding. If that makes you uncomfortable, then good. Good, I'm glad, I'm happy. Because now we can actually start talking seriously. We can start talking institutionally and mechanically. What's the purpose? Earn trust retroactively. Explain the machine calmly. Turn your discomfort into clarity. So let's reframe news flow, headline risk properly. Now, news is not casual, it's descriptive. By the time a headline prints, positioning actually already exists. You can't beat the machine. Balance sheets are already stressed. Dealers are already delta hedged and they've priced in the gamma movements as well. Price doesn't move because of news. It moves because constraints change. News is simply the trigger that exposes those constraints. We have to start viewing markets in terms of the plumbing, the liquidity, and in terms of what they actually are, which is pricing mechanisms and also clearing systems. Markets are not a debate. They're not some scholastic machine. They are a clearing mechanism. Every price solves a problem. Who must deleverage? Who must hedge? Who must rebalance? Who cannot afford to wait? The markets are constantly asking these questions. Liquidity determines how easily that clearing actually happens. When liquidity ends up expanding, the stress is absorbed. And when it contracts, the stress is transferred. Price only follows the transference mechanism. So why sometimes can bad news actually be expansionary? Well, bad news activates response mechanisms. Which mechanisms do I talk of? Policy response, fiscal backdrops, balance sheet elasticity, volatility suppression, Bad news loosens the constraints. It opens the spigots. Good news does the entire opposite. It tightens the conditions. It raises real yields. It strengthens currency pressure. It reduces urgency. This is why rallies are born in pessimism. Sounds counterintuitive, but if you backtest it enough and you see this is where rallies are purely actually born, in the most dour, pessimistic, apocalyptic, Armageddon-esque environment. Not because markets are inherently optimistic pricing mechanisms, no, but because liquidity is being forced into unstoppable, unfathomable, momentum-driven motion. This is where most people misread the system. Rates and liquidity. High rates do not automatically mean tight liquidity. Rates signal intent. Liquidity reflects necessity. In a reserve currency system, rate hikes don't actually destroy that liquidity. They just reroute it. It goes from private to public balance sheets, equity to credits, visible channels to hidden ones. The system duly adapts. It always adapts, and it will always adapt, whether or not you're along for the ride. So why do fundamentals actually fail as good timing tools more often than not? Fundamentals describe outcomes. Liquidity determines the trajectory, the telemetry, the flow, the path, however you want to describe it. You can be right about debt. You can be right about the deficits. You can be right about the demographics, about the productivity, and you can still be liquidated. You can still be margin called, and you can still be wrong. Because markets don't move when the problems actually exist. They move when liquidity constraints change. That's the difference between being right and being solvent. In this equation, volatility is king. But who are the gatekeepers of volatility? Who's the arbiter of volatility? We have to talk about the mechanics in terms of the dealer flow. Dealers don't trade on opinions. They do one thing. Well, they do a few things as well as taking your money. But mainly, they manage risk inventory. When volatility is low, balance sheets do one thing. They expand. Risk capacity increases. The leverage duly grows, understandably. But when volatility rises, something else happens. Risk is shed. It's discarded. The husk is what's left over. Hedging accelerates. Price gaps start to appear. So price moves not because of belief systems changing, but because exposures must change. So why does this repeat every single cycle? Cyclically, with like a circadian rhythm. Every cycle looks unique, right? But underneath, there are a few things that remain the same. Leverage, it builds. Volatility, it's forever suppressed. Risk is constantly mispriced and underestimated. Stability is breeding instability. Instability becomes the progeny, the unwanted spawn of stability. Then something breaks, and liquidity doesn't actually vanish. It just transmutes, and it moves from one pocket of the system to another part of the system. Price follows that movement, always. Undoubtedly, unmitigatingly, unequivocally, doesn't ever change. So there's something we all need to unlearn. And this is no advice, okay, but it might do you well. This isn't about what to buy. It's about what to stop believing. Stop believing news drives price. Stop believing markets are efficient. Markets are fair. Logic leads timing. Understand something else instead. If you don't know where liquidity is actually coming from, you don't know where the price is going. Everything else is noise. Everything else is commentary, and we're in the business of signal generation. In my next video, it's going to leave one question. If liquidity keeps appearing, If bad news keeps fueling rallies counterintuitively, where is it coming from? Because it didn't stop, it wasn't removed, it was just renamed. Liquidity is actually a system. It's an organism almost. It's a beast. And systems don't respond to news announcements. They respond to what they are forced to absorb. In my next video, I'll show you why quantitative easing, QE, never actually ended, and why that misunderstanding explains almost everything you are seeing in these markets right now. Because the truth is, liquidity drives everything, and quantitative easing is the mother of all liquidity, irrespective of the acronym they invent, the new 4-letter word that's spoken, or how policy people, for want of a better word, are trying to tell you that this time is different. Because I hate to tell you, but the times are never different. And there is nothing more permanent in markets than a temporary measure. You have to follow the liquidity. You have to follow price flow. Not news announcements. That's not what decides price. Narratives don't decide price. Liquidity decides price. Everywhere, it's always the same. My name is Justin Banton. This is The House of Trade. Give me a like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next one, hopefully. Ciao for now.